They say beauty can open doors. But sometimes it opens doors that should never be touched. What if the luxurious life you were proud of suddenly turned into a nightmare you could never escape? What if one decision, one relationship, one moment of arrogance changed your life forever? Before we begin, subscribe to RayTales Africa for powerful African stories filled with love, betrayal, mystery, and life lessons. Today's story comes from modern-day Uganda. It is the story of a woman who chased luxury, ignored warnings, and paid a price that followed her for years. And the most shocking part: no matter what she tried, she could never escape it. Let's dive into our tale. Kampala was a city that rewarded confidence, beauty, and connections. And in her 20s, the young Ugandan woman believed she had all three. She was breathtaking. Her smooth caramel skin glowed under the Kampala sun. Her tall, graceful figure turned heads everywhere she went. Her long dark hair flowed past her shoulders, and her bright smile made strangers look twice. But what truly defined her was her appetite for luxury. She loved the lifestyle many only dreamed about. Designer handbags, 5-star restaurants in Kololo, weekend spa treatments, expensive perfumes and shoes. And she had discovered a way to maintain that lifestyle. She surrounded herself with wealthy men. Not boys her age struggling to build their futures. No. She preferred successful businessmen who had already built their fortunes. Among them was one man who stood out above the rest. A wealthy businessman in his early 40s. Confident, powerful, generous. From the moment he noticed her during a dinner in an upscale Kololo restaurant, he became captivated. And within months, her life changed dramatically. He rented a luxury apartment for her in Bukoto. He filled her wardrobe with designer clothing from international brands. He took her on expensive shopping sprees. Then one afternoon, he handed her something that made her heart race. The keys to a brand new black G-Wagon. To her, it felt like she had finally conquered life. But there was something she chose to ignore. The businessman had a wife. For months, the businessman's wife remained silent. She watched. The late nights. The unexplained expenses. The sudden changes in her husband's schedule. Eventually, the truth became impossible to ignore. One afternoon, the wife decided to meet the young woman. They met at a quiet cafe in Tinda. The young woman arrived confidently, dressed in an elegant designer outfit. She expected shouting, insults, maybe even drama. But the woman sitting across from her surprised her. She was calm, elegant, composed. The wife looked directly into her eyes and said softly, "I know about you." The young woman shrugged with arrogance. She had heard this before. Jealous wives were nothing new to her. But the wife continued. "I am not here to fight you," she said quietly. "I am here to warn you." Her voice carried a strange seriousness. "Leave my husband alone." The young woman laughed lightly. To her, the warning felt weak. She leaned forward and replied coldly, "Maybe you should talk to your husband instead." The wife watched her for a long moment. Then she said something that would later echo painfully in the young woman's mind. "I hope one day you understand the price of what you are doing." Then she stood up and walked away. That night, the young woman told her friends about the encounter while laughing. To her, it was just another jealous wife trying to defend what she could not keep. But she had no idea that life was already preparing a lesson she would never forget. It started slowly. At first, the young woman noticed something strange. A faint smell. She assumed it was something around her apartment. Maybe the trash. Maybe the drainage. But days passed, and the smell returned. No matter how often she cleaned. Soon she realized something terrifying. The odor was coming from her own body. At first it was mild. But gradually it became stronger. She tried everything. Expensive perfumes. Luxury body products. Frequent showers. Nothing worked. The smell remained. And slowly, people began to notice. Friends who once loved spending time with her started making excuses. Dinner invitations stopped. The businessman began to visit less often. Whenever he entered the apartment, he would wrinkle his nose slightly. Eventually he stopped staying long. Doctors ran tests. Everything appeared normal. No infection. No illness. No medical explanation. Yet the odor remained. It followed her everywhere. Inside cars. In restaurants. In shopping malls. The life she once enjoyed began collapsing piece by piece. The businessman slowly distanced himself. The luxurious gift stopped. The visit stopped. Then one day, he simply disappeared from her life entirely. Not long after, she heard he had returned fully to his wife and moved to another city. Years passed. The beautiful woman who once dominated Kampala's social scene now lived quietly, avoiding crowded places. The mysterious odor never fully disappeared. It remained a constant source of embarrassment and isolation. Eventually she heard something shocking. The businessman's wife had never actually cursed her. Instead, she had gone to a respected elder in her village for guidance. The elder had simply told her, "Do not seek revenge. Life has its own way of teaching people." And a spell was done. Perhaps that was the truth. Because the young woman eventually realized something painful. The luxurious life she once celebrated had been built on someone else's pain. And sometimes, the heaviest consequences are the ones you must carry every day. Moral lesson. Beauty and luxury can attract attention. But character determines the path your life will take. When people ignore the pain they cause others, life has a way of reminding them that every choice has consequences. Thank you for listening to this powerful story from RayTales Africa. Our stories are not just about drama. They are about life, choices, and the lessons we learn from them. If this story touched you, share it with someone who might learn from it. And remember, sometimes the greatest wealth in life is living with a clear conscience. Subscribe to RayTales Africa for more powerful African stories filled with truth, emotion, and unforgettable lessons. Thank you.